Welcome to the Frictionless Innkeeper Podcast. Coming right up, fresh tips and insights from lodging professionals aimed at helping you improve your business. Our podcast is brought to you by the Frictionless Guest App, the digital concierge that helps your guests to live like locals. Learn how at frictionlessguest.com.
Steve Short, my friend, how are you?
Lead dog, Matt Langen, how are you?
Lead dog. You're teasing out the next podcast a little bit here. And this next one is with Richard Aday, who's the CEO of ThinkReservations. And the last time we spoke with him was in 2021. So it's been a few years. And there's been quite a few changes for Richard with his company, with an acquisition, with a new product, and even his leadership vision.
Yeah, Richard's an interesting guy, a brilliant guy. And yeah, it was great talking with him last time. And you can see he's definitely come a long way since then in terms of ThinkReservations, what they're doing, what they're up to, as well as him personally. And I guess, part of that, I guess you'll hear a little bit in the podcast. I know he had a daughter a little bit more than a year ago. So those big things in life will change you and transform you for sure. But it sounds like from an organizational standpoint, same thing. And yeah, so it goes into depth and with a lot of things that they're doing now and kind of where they're heading. And it's definitely a worthwhile listen for sure.
Yeah. And one of the big parts too, beyond just kind of his personal growth, is the big news of the acquisition of Acorn Marketing and then the launch of their new product called ThinkWeb. And he goes pretty deep on both of those, especially ThinkWeb. And it sounds like a pretty cutting edge product for lodging.
Yep. He said there's nothing like it out there in the marketplace. So yeah, for sure. Yeah. In fact, certainly he talks a lot about Acorn, and ThinkWeb is probably the most relevant thing, but I always like the personal stories myself too. That's a big part of it. And I think our listeners, hopefully as well. Yeah, definitely worth a listen.
And with that in mind, we hope you enjoyed this Frictionless Innkeeper podcast interview with Richard Aday, CEO of ThinkReservations. All right. And Richard and Steve, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Steve. Very happy to be here today.
Yeah, great to have you. Steve Short, my friend, how are you?
Matthew Langen, I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm doing great. It's great to have Richard back. We were just talking before we hit the record button here. 2021 was the last time we spoke and last time we did a podcast, and there's been a lot of changes going on. Obviously, there's been an acquisition. We're here to talk about that. And let's kick it off with that. Tell us about the acquisition of Acorn Marketing and why the focus on websites, which really led to the acquisition.
Absolutely. So ThinkReservations has always been focused around driving increased conversion businesses. It's why we focus so much on the booking engine. The booking engine has been our main product that helps guests make reservations more quickly, book items and packages. And we put a lot of effort into focusing on that to drive conversions. We've been doing this 12 years. We realized that in order for us to continue improving conversions on the booking engine, we had to start earlier in the process. And we knew that that meant that we would have to start focusing on the website for businesses. About a year ago is when we made the conclusion that we had to focus earlier in the booking process. And we started prototyping and coming up with ideas for what we could do for a strong website for the lodging industry. Toward the end of the year, I approached Acorn Marketing, the owners, Lisa and Mark Kolb, and I asked them if they were open to an acquisition. At that point, we shared a lot of similarities. We were both in the same industries. We have known each other for 12 years, and we know the value that each of us bring to the industry. And so they were open to the idea of an acquisition. And truth be told, it happened faster than I thought it could. We were talking about it in November and we had everything closed sometime around March. We approached the acquisition because we knew that if we could bring in the Acorn team, that we would be able to build a better website product. Acorn has over 20 years of experience with websites and marketing in the lodging industry. We've worked alongside them for the last 12 years. We know the value that they bring to businesses. They also had a large team. They had a team of around 30. We knew that there would be value in ThinkReservations if we could bring over 30 people who were experts in that field of the industry. And so ThinkReservations at the acquisition actually doubled in size. We were already around 30. And now due to the acquisition, we're sitting on a team size around 60. We knew that one nice thing about the acquisition was that our team already knew Acorn and Acorn's team already knew us. We knew that we would already work well together and that our team would be happy to find out that we acquired Acorn and that Acorn's team would be happy to know that ThinkReservations acquired Acorn. So there was just a lot of mutual synergies in this. And what it did was it helped us propel into our new product, ThinkWeb.
Yeah, just before you get into all that, I think, and we talked to Lisa on the podcast, it's been a little while, maybe in the last 2 years probably. But yeah, I mean, I think in terms of the people aspect, the organizational aspect, that's probably one of the most important things. I mean, obviously, you're coming from the same industry and there was all this overlap, synergy, whatever, but it's the human part of that that's probably makes or breaks these kinds of things, in my opinion, just at least in the corporate world, the larger corporate world, certainly, and the culture and all of that. So that's, to me, that's a great way to start.
Yeah, I think the human element is critical. With ThinkReservations, the way that we interact with customers, we know that our customers not only love our product, they love who we are and what we're doing. When I looked at Acorn, I saw that same synergy with their customers. Acorn has always been customer focused in that regard. Acorn's customers love what they do, see the value in what they do. And that was another reason why we wanted to move forward with this acquisition, because we knew that their customers loved what they were doing. And we knew that they were a great team and that would, in essence, give us the ability to move faster in this industry with the vision that we wanted to push forward on.
So yeah, talk about what the vision was for ThinkWeb. So you've talked about why you need to have kind of this control earlier in the process of the website. Be interesting. I don't know if there'll be time. I'm curious to know that versus the OTA, trying to take over the world. Maybe this is the push against that. But yeah, talk about maybe a little bit more about those earlier thoughts on and strategies as to why you felt that there was a need for this and how you arrived at the ThinkWeb concept and your first launch of it here.
Definitely. To get a good idea of the vision for what we saw for ThinkWeb, we really have to understand where the market was and still is. Most businesses in the lodging industry have a website and they have a booking engine. And the website and the booking engine can be designed so that they look the same. But at the end of the day, there's still two applications that the user is jumping from back and forth. We've done a lot of work on our booking engine to make sure customers have a seamless experience, which is why businesses tell us they sell more reservations and more items and packages on our booking engine. But even on our side, we notice that guests will enter the booking engine and jump out of it sometimes back to the website to look at the rooms page. The booking engine does a good job explaining the information about the rooms, but the website still offers a part that the booking engine can't. For example, information about the property itself, more detailed information about the rooms than what a typical booking engine gives. When we looked at that, we asked ourselves, well, if we're thinking about starting earlier in the booking process, we cannot enter this industry and produce the same product that already exists. If we're going to do it the same way that everyone else is doing, there's really no value in us doing it. So we took some time to ask ourselves, what could we do differently with the website to make it valuable, not only to the business, but to their guests? And we knew that we were in a unique position, that we're not just a website company, that we're primarily focused on the property management system, the booking engine, the channel manager, all the tools that control the availability and the reservation lifecycle process. We knew that if we took our unique position with the booking engine and translated a lot of those features and new features that we could dream of back into the website, we would provide a product that was different. In fact, you could start to see that the lodging industry itself was already starting to fragment. The independent properties typically had that structure where they had the website and then they had the booking engine. But when you started looking at bigger brands like Marriott, Hilton, or even larger independent brands that had the development resources to build in-house, their websites were starting to change. Their websites, when you have those development resources or you're part of the bigger brand, you get the website that is already deeply integrated with the booking engine. And so we looked at the entire market and we asked ourselves, what value could we provide so that we can bring a product to the market that businesses can't access? When I like to talk about ThinkWeb, and I'll get into some of the features that stand out here, but these features, they're going to seem, when I explain them, as obvious. Why haven't business owners asked for this type of stuff in the past? And my answer to that, the reason why these features and functionality aren't part of the discussion right now is because it's not accessible to businesses to have this level of features and integrations. And ThinkWeb is our opportunity to address that. We are giving the features now to independent properties to be able to transform their website from a website and a booking engine to just the website that is the booking engine and does more. So let's ask ourselves, what are the features and functionality that we could provide? Well, the easiest one, the most straightforward one would be, well, if we had a website and a booking engine, let's combine both of them together. Let's have a website that is the booking engine. That's easy to say, but how does it work? I mentioned earlier that customers are trying to get more information about rooms while they're booking. We've taken this opportunity to redesign the entire booking flow so that as they're navigating through the website, as they're learning about the rooms, they're already in the booking process. And so they don't have to make that conscious decision of, hey, I'm ready to book. Let me go check for availability. As they're interacting with the website, they're already seeing a lot of that. The other thing we asked ourselves was, we know how important it is for businesses to greet their guests when they show up on site. As part of the property management system, we know why it's important to keep track of whether the customer is a repeat customer, what all their notes were, etc. It's because when they show up on site, you want to make sure that they know you remember them. And our question was, well, why can't we do that to the website as well? Why can't we remember the guests and why can't we greet them? And so the vision for ThinkWeb also had that part of authentication. We wanted to allow guests to be able to have an account, to log in, to be able to log into the website, because at that point, the doors open. Extra functionality. If we can recognize the guests, that the first thing is we can greet them as soon as they show up on the website. At the top right on ThinkWeb, we greet them. We say, hi, Richard. Additionally, there's a lot that we can do. If the guest is logged in, well, shouldn't they be able to manage their reservations? Shouldn't they be able to see all their reservations and cancel them if they need to? ThinkWeb opens the door for guests to be able to do that, which means that ThinkWeb isn't just a website anymore. It's not just a booking engine. It's a business solution that is offering functionality that helps you automate your business and simplify your business processes. This is now a tool that makes it easier for you to run your business.
So, question about that. Does that mean that if I book, set up an account at one property, and then I go to another property a couple weeks later, and I have been traveling a lot, traveling again this week, does that mean that you know who I am on the other site as long as they're using ThinkWeb. And I guess I would hope that the properties would think, okay, well, that's a good thing. It's not like you're sharing information between different properties in those reservations. It's just the guest's information, right? But it does make it a lot more seamless. This is kind of a HubSpot style CRM sort of approach of, marketing automation kind of a thing that says, okay, we know who you are, and now we can know, maybe we know your preferences and some other, there's a lot of things down the road that you can do with this, right?
Absolutely. So with the accounts, when you go to the website and you log in, the user is creating a Think Travel account. And so you're right, that Think Travel account, one account will work across all the websites. It means that finally these independent properties can have a mechanism that allows guests to log in and gives the guest an increased opportunity to have already had an account. ThinkReservations has more than 2,000 businesses in the US using our property management system. In this way, there can be that network effect where someone shows up to a ThinkWeb website and they already have a Think Travel account. And the benefit to the business for them to have a Think Travel account is plenty. First of all, they'll recognize the Think functionality on the website. They'll already be existing shoppers. They'll know how to navigate your website more easily. Two, one thing that we're going to do is simplify the booking process if they're logged in. If they're logged in, we already know their names.
Right.
We already know credit card details. We can make it so simple for them to book that we're now improving the guest experience for them. And then additionally, they'll realize that they can modify or cancel their reservation online as well because they have their Think Travel account. This is really powerful for independent properties. There's a lot of properties out there where if you're not part of a larger network, you're asking the user to create one-time account that they are going to use once a year at your business. It's a harder ask for that. In this way, there's a network effect that's happening around businesses in the US, and which is going to help make it a better guest experience when they show up to your website and they realize that they can just log in, make their reservation in a few clicks, and track all their reservation details right there on the website.
Yeah, absolutely. So talk a little bit more about and maybe you've got more items on your list here in terms of the combination of the website with the booking engine. Talk about some of the other things that from a guest user type experience coming onto the website. If I'm a property and I'm saying, okay, this sounds like a cool idea, but hey, so they click on reserve a room now and they go off to whatever they're using booking engine wise. What's the big deal? Like, okay, it's a little kludgy at times, right? It's not the greatest experience to walk through that, but they can book and that's okay. So talk a little bit more about just from the ease of use or maybe presentation wise. I'm thinking about the website itself. And of course, Lisa and Acorn, that's, they've been doing that. So you've got that perspective on what a good experience is, from a website perspective for hospitality, for lodging properties. So what else is it from a design standpoint? When you talk about the Marriotts of the world doing this, what else is it that makes it easier or better if these things are integrated from the guest perspective?
Absolutely. And I have a lot to share and discuss. I would love to just say a couple things here. First of all, this functionality, I've always thought it's easier to see it for yourself. People ask us a lot in the ThinkReservations booking engine. They used to ask us, how do I know that your system is going to help us convert more easily? And, other than the data we have with our customers, what I like to tell people is actually to go to a ThinkReservations booking engine and try to make a reservation for yourself. And if you find it to be easier, then you know that you can correlate ease of use to conversion rate. And so Same thing applies to ThinkWeb. Right now, we have a business, Chestnut Street Inn, that you can take a look at as well and see the functionality for yourself and ask yourself, is this simple for guests? I'm sure you're going to walk away from that saying yes. The other thing I'd like to add here is, before I go into the list of features, is I just want to really take a second to commend the team at ThinkReservations and the team at Acorn in building ThinkWeb. ThinkWeb is different. It has all these features and functionality that in the way that we're presenting it doesn't really exist. And I asked my team to do something large. I asked them to not only go through an acquisition, but I asked them to launch a new product 6 weeks after the acquisition. Yes, we had a bit of a prototype before the acquisition, but this team really came together and delivered something to the market that is different. It was a really big push from everyone for us to get there. And so let's talk about the booking experience and how what we're providing is different. First of all, we've taken the opportunity to redesign all the common elements of the booking process. So we've gone back to basics when it comes to the check availability widget and when it comes to the image gallery. The way that we're doing it is different than the typical. It's easier. It's more obvious what's happening. And we're presenting your room images in a better experience for guests so that they can get the full impact of your room at a click instead of having to go image by image. The other thing that we changed is the booking flow. In the past, you had to, when you have a 2-tier system, you click the book now button, you search for dates, and then you see a list of rooms that are available, and all the rooms have the different rates that are available. We've changed the flow. First of all, the book now button isn't there at the top right because there's a date picker. They can instantly interact with our check availability widget and start their search. When they start their search, they're taken to a page that shows the rooms and their availability status and their price. So imagine the business has 15 units. You'll see all 15 units there laid out in a grid. We'll give you the high level information about each room. We'll tell you if it's available or unavailable, and we'll tell you the price, the starting at price. If a customer wants to book a certain room or learn more about it, they just click into the room. Now they're presented a view with the room images at the top, details on the left, and a rate widget on the right-hand side where they can pick the rate that they want. This is different than what we used to do. We used to put a concise level of information on the previous page so that they could just pick the rate that they wanted. So why did we change it? We changed it because we wanted to give customers more information. You know how I told you that customers used to go back to the rooms page on the website to get that more information? We decided, let's eliminate that. In the booking process, or as they're even searching for rooms, let's integrate both pieces together so much that if they're learning about the room, they're already in the booking process. If they're in the booking process, they're learning about the room. And so by clicking into the room and showing the room page itself, now we're able to go into way more detail about the room. So we built widgets around it too. We have, not only are we showing the images, the description, we're showing a list of amenities for that unit. We're showing a calendar at the bottom that shows the availability for that unit. And there's more that we can do. On the right-hand side, there's a rate widget that shows the rates that are available for the dates that you picked. And if you want to change the dates, you can. You'll pick the rate that you want. And then you click book now. And now you get taken to a page, which is the upsell page, where you're able to choose the items that you want. You can choose the ones you want. Then you get taken to the registration page and you can finish the process. Big thing here that has also changed, other than these little features, is the branded experience. Everything is completely branded. In the old approach with 2 systems, they looked the same, but they weren't the same because they weren't sitting on the same domain name. They also had different mobile experiences. In this case, in ThinkWeb, your brand is the exact same thing on every page. Your domain name stays the same on every page. It doesn't change. Your mobile experience works the same as it does on your home page compared to the registration page in the booking engine. Everything stays the same. It is really the product right now that is holding your brand through from first visit to the guest making the reservation.
Yeah, that makes sense. And the whole thing about changing the booking flow or certainly the whole room choice thing is something that aggravates me. Being, my wife and I do a fair amount of travel and bed and breakfast whenever we can, or historic inn type things. And trying to figure out the room, you got to figure that out on the website, and then you have to go to the booking engine. Then you're jumping back and forth. And that's the most obvious. It certainly makes sense to make this a lot easier in terms of the booking path and the booking flow, and then the branding as well. I mean, it's kind of obvious, not that people get too annoyed, but it would certainly be a lot nicer as a property to try to brand everything so it's all there together and it doesn't feel like you're jumping to a different place. So, yeah. Well, I guess this is my, not programmer brain. I'm not a programmer, but my software developer type industry brain. So you guys built this thing totally from scratch, and I mean, it's a platform. And is this something that Think is going to set everything up so you're using the tools behind the scenes, or is it something that's user friendly enough or understandable enough that the properties can put it together themselves? Or is it some combination? Because that's always the question. Like when we talked to Acorn about how they build websites or what they do, and others, Q4 launch, whatever, I'm always curious to know, okay, how much of this can be done? Because I think the property people want to know, can I take care of this stuff myself or whatever? So yeah, what's the tool look like? What's the platform look like?
Yeah, so ThinkWeb is built in-house. ThinkReservations itself has a strong engineering team. Our engineers are really experienced. A lot of them come from Amazon.com, which is where I started my career, and my brother Alfred also started his career. We're really good at what we do, and we know that we've learned over the last 12 years that there are a lot of strong advantages to bringing software in-house. We learned that with our channel manager. We learned that with our text messaging solution. We know that software brought into ThinkReservations works better across the platform. But we knew that the decision to bring a product in-house had to have the right reasons, and it had to give businesses the experience that they still want. We couldn't sacrifice that. So when bringing the software in-house, we asked ourselves, could we do it better? Could we build an architecture that makes sure that websites are faster, that the guest experience is always put first, that the images are loading at the right size so that we have the right page speed loads? We knew that we could solve the technical for that. But we also realized that businesses want to be able to log in and edit parts of their website. And this is where we took a practical approach. We know that the most common parts of the website that they need to change, we know that we need to expose that. So things like blog articles, where every week or every month they might be posting a blog article. They need that type of ability to control it on their own and make changes as they need to, or making changes about their rooms page, changing out images, things like that. We have to make sure that customers have that ability to edit, and in ThinkWeb they do. But when it comes to changing core elements of the website, like for example, how the homepage is structured or which widget is rendering on the homepage, at that point, we provide, our high level of support and service to our customers, and they let us know what change they want to see, and we'll go ahead and make it for them. Those things that they change frequently, they're able to do on their own. Those things that don't change frequently, we're right now managing for them. And it's because it's better for businesses if we continue to innovate with their website and provide more functionality to their guests online. And that's where our focus is. Right now, I can tell you, we are just scratching the surface with our innovation. We're really proud of ThinkWeb. ThinkWeb is absolutely different than anything on the market right now. But when I think about what ThinkWeb can and should be, I know that the most important thing for us is to realize that vision.
Wow. So if I'm a property owner, whether I'm using Think or not, whatever I'm using, website, booking engine, do you want to talk a little bit about approach of, okay, this sounds cool. I don't know if you're comfortable talking about costs, what it's going to take. Okay, I'm interested. I'm at ALP. Hey, Richard, I'm a property owner and I want to know, why should I go to ThinkWeb? Tell me how long this is going to take, what my costs are going to be, what I'm going to pay ongoing. Generally, what's that all about?
Absolutely. So ThinkWeb is designed to be simple to get started. It's a core philosophy of ThinkReservations, actually. When people decide to use ThinkReservations, it's our goal to help make it as seamless and simple for them as possible. With that comes the fact that we want to redesign the process for creating websites and simplify it for business owners. So the process for getting started for ThinkWeb is very simple. We're actually going to front load a lot of the work in helping you get your website built. So I'll talk about pricing in a second, but if you're ready to get started, basically, we will take a look at your existing website, the content that you have, the pictures that you have, and we'll come up with that first draft of what your ThinkWeb website would be using the content that you're already using. We do this because we want to make it easier for business owners to take that first step with us. So we'll show you a website, and depending on the size of your website, it might be a few pages at a time or the full-blown website all at once. We'll show you the content and the images that we think that you should have, and we'll take your feedback. Any changes that you want to make, we'll go ahead and make them for you. Our goal is to simplify this process. That's why we want to take the first step for your business so that you don't have to start in the complete ambiguity of starting from scratch. ThinkWeb comes with the customer support and onboarding that our customers have experienced with ThinkReservations. Nothing's going to change in that regard in terms of the high level of service and support we provide our customers. In terms of pricing, it's really easy to get started. The price changes based on the number of rooms you have. And for 0 to 5 rooms, I believe the price is $250 a month for the website. And it changes based on number of rooms. The more rooms you have, obviously, the higher the price goes. And we do have an onboarding fee that starts around $1,000, but it changes based on various variables for what it is you're looking for from your website. What I'll say is that the ThinkWeb product isn't just the website. It's a business solution for your business. We've seen a lot of our existing customers already start signing up for ThinkWeb. ThinkWeb, it's hard to compare the pricing structure for ThinkWeb versus, a website you could get on a lot of those build it yourself platforms. The thing is that what we're providing is nothing like what you can get from the build it yourself platform. What we're providing is an experience for your guests to simplify the booking process, which is going to lead to increased conversions. They're going to be able to automate and simplify their reservation lifecycle by interacting with your website. And what that's going to do is it's going to translate to increased revenue for your business and time savings. It's why when we priced ThinkWeb, we wanted to make it as economic for customers as possible. But we also realized that the pitch that we're bringing businesses isn't just in cost savings in terms of monthly fee or setup fee, even though those rates are very competitive. Our value is in what we're going to do with your business and the results that we're going to deliver.
Yeah, makes sense. And I would think, again, the Acorn acquisition kind of comes into better focus here, because I would think that, I'm guessing that a lot of the folks that came from the Acorn side are the ones working on the setup of the configuring for your clients, because they did a lot of that on when it was Acorn. That also makes me think too, just curious about, I know they were always big on analytics and that sort of thing. So is that part of what is, I know you've got that on the ThinkReservations side. I'm assuming you've got some stuff built in on the ThinkWeb side, or is that more of where you want to get to? Because, talk about where you want to go as well, I guess.
What I'll say real quick about Acorn, I mentioned that Acorn has always been customer focused. And what that means is that every time they've been launching websites for their customers, they go above and beyond in making sure that not just the website's functional, but that they deployed it in the right way so that their SEO for the business is not hurt. They make sure that Google Analytics is connected correctly, that you're getting the conversion details that you need to make better marketing decisions. All those little things that Acorn has always prioritized is continuing with ThinkWeb. It's, not only are you going to get this website, you're going to get the website in a state where everything's connected for you so that you can start making the business decisions you need to make based on how guests are interacting with your website. What's next for ThinkWeb right now? I mentioned that we released our new product, ThinkWeb. Our focus right now is delivering websites to our customers. We have a lot of demand. We are going through that demand, and in some ways we're re-engineering certain parts of the process to help us move more quickly so that we can meet the demand. And at the same time, we're balancing that with new features and functionality for ThinkWeb. And so one thing I talked about earlier was how the booking engine process should recognize guests so that we can skip a few steps in the booking process. That's what's coming next for ThinkWeb, and that's what we're working on in that regard. All this has a little bit of, ThinkWeb is actually only one product that we released. The other one is ThinkMarketing. It's Acorn's marketing program tied into ThinkReservations. What I'll say too is that over the next year, you're going to see some changes to our marketing program where it's going to be more integrated into ThinkReservations. And that's another part that we're working on as well.
Okay, great. All right. So talk about you a little. I know you wanted to talk about your journey in the last year or so. So talk about that, whether it's, I guess, your Cornell thing, or you did talk about this and I guess mission and vision and all of that at Michigan Bed and Breakfast Association. So I was there for that. But yeah, talk about where you've come and where you're going with that personally anyway.
Yeah, I'd love to just start off about talking about some lessons that I've learned with regards to what it takes to setting and driving a vision in an organization. And then after that, I'd love to quickly talk about my experience with Cornell and the program that I'm a part of. But, I've been running ThinkReservations for 12 years. And over 12 years, I've changed a lot as a leader. And over this last year, I've really cemented and really learned a few concepts that I feel have been important to what I'm doing. And I'd love to share it here because I know that a lot of the listeners here are also entrepreneurs. They're running their own businesses. It's why I love the industry that I'm in, because my customers share a lot of similarities in what I'm doing. And, I know you're referencing the Michigan conference that I provided the keynote there. I leveraged that as an opportunity to share what I think of it when it comes to setting a vision. I think as the leader of an organization, the most important thing that should be done is setting the vision and sharing it over and over again in an organization. Certainly, if your team is small, the vision is visible. You almost don't even have to talk about it. You can see it. You can see it in each other when you're working in the business if your team's small. But as soon as your team starts to grow, we're a team of 60 now, but I saw a shift at 10, I saw a shift at 20, 30, and now 60. It becomes more and more to describe your vision to your company and the team over and over. I'll explain this by telling you a story. We did the acquisition with Acorn. It's bringing 30 people into an organization that was already 30. The most important thing here was making sure that everyone had a good idea of where it was we were going. So when it came to the acquisition with Acorn, it was really important to set the vision and make sure that employees understood it, because what I was asking the team to do was a large ask. Not only did I ask the company to acquire another company, but at the same time, I asked them to build and deliver a new product. One great thing that has changed in the last year is that I decided to enroll in the Executive Masters in Management for Hospitality at Cornell. Cornell is the number one hotel school out there. And I found this program that I knew could help me in my growth at ThinkReservations. When we started ThinkReservations, I learned a lot from listening to customers, from going into the industry and asking questions. This was now my opportunity to go back to university and learn more about how the lodging industry operates and take a lot of that knowledge and bring it back into ThinkReservations and now share that knowledge with my customers. Over the last year, the master's program has given a lot of guidance and knowledge to me about the lodging industry. But what I've taken a lot away from it is what it takes to be a leader, how to make the decisions that I need to make to grow ThinkReservations. And that way, the program that Cornell has put up has really offered me a big opportunity for growth. And what that means is it's going to translate back into my customers with the product that we're going to be able to deliver.
And on the leadership side, in terms of the team, what are some of the things you've learned and done there? Suggestions you might have? Because, property owners, there's a vision for every organization, whether it's 2 people or 200 people or 200,000, whatever. And certainly it's important to set that as a leader. So talk a little bit about your perspective on that, if you would.
Being a leader means that you have to get in front of people and you have to show them that you could get them to the finish line. It's why when I talk about vision, it's important to not only see where you want your organization to go, but to be able to communicate that with your team. When you can communicate it with your team, you can get them to enroll in that vision and support each other in helping get each other to the finish line. When it came to the acquisition for Acorn, it was a big ask what I asked the team to do. I asked them to not only manage an acquisition, I asked them to launch 2 new products, ThinkWeb and ThinkMarketing. And I learned that sometimes to get to where we need to be, we need to move a little bit more aggressively and a little faster. And that's how I am as a leader. That's who I am. And I was able to ask this team to go above and beyond and push with me to get to that finish line. It's why when ThinkWeb was announced and launched, our company was on cloud 9. We were so excited about what we had done together, that the product that we had built together, that we had pushed together. Those are when people talk to me about vision and leading an organization. There's nothing better you can do for an organization than to set the vision and help them get to the finish line. When they believe you can get them there, they will empower themselves and get to that finish line with you.
Yeah, for sure. So you want to finish up by we talked about the Acorn acquisition, ThinkWeb, where that's going, you personally, and kind of your journey over the last year or so. What about ThinkReservations? You want to talk a little bit about overall where things are going with Think?
Yeah, I'm going to keep it simple. We love what we do at ThinkReservations. We love the products that we get to build. We love the customer interactions. We love the fact that our customers love what we're doing as well. We want to do more of that. I want to end off just by saying that we are going to continue to find new opportunities, new products, new features to help our customers grow. And we're going to find new markets to do that in as well. Right now, we're really focused around the US, but we are starting to expand internationally as well. We want to make sure that we're not only the easiest solution for businesses that drives the highest conversion rates, we want to make sure that we're also the most accessible system for people, so that regardless of where you live or where you're running your business, that you can use ThinkReservations. And so we're really focused on opening up our ability to work with more businesses regardless of where they're operating.
Cool. That is short and sweet. All right.
Nice.
Matt, you always have your last question.
The simple question, Richard. Any parting shots or anything else we may have missed before I take us out?
No, other than let's not wait so long for the next time. I'm about to come back here and talk to you guys again. We are changing things every few months.
Excellent.
Cool. That would be great. Yeah. We'd love to have you back on for sure.
For sure.
All right.
Awesome.
You done, Matt? You going to lead us out?
I'll lead us out. This concludes this Frictionless Innkeeper podcast interview with Richard Aday, who's the CEO of ThinkReservations. As you heard, Richard was kind enough to share his insights about ThinkReservations' recent acquisition of Acorn Marketing, as well as the launch of their new product called ThinkWeb, and really a lot of the leadership and the visionary experience that he's learned throughout this entire process. And our podcast is brought to you by the Frictionless Guest App, the digital concierge that helps your guests to live like locals. Learn how at frictionlessguest.com. Once again, that's frictionlessguest.com. And Richard and Steve, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here. Until next time.
Thanks, Richard. We appreciate it.